Thank you. So I'll call this special school committee meeting of Falmouth Public Schools to order for March 6th. So thanks everyone for joining us. Just a reminder that the meeting's being recorded and telecast. Thank you to FCTV and thanks Ryan. It's also available by Zoom like our regular meetings. So if you know people that couldn't make it tonight, they can still watch it, watch the recording. It's usually posted the day after our meetings. So thanks to the Building Needs Task Force, first of all, for their efforts back in the fall that got us to this point. Their response to the community requests for additional data as we considered the proposals for navigating the future resulted in identifying NESDEC to conduct the research and compile the report on Falmouth and Falmouth Public Schools that they're sharing with us tonight. So quick logistics. So we had originally said that we would post everything to the website tomorrow, but Dr. Dorr and Ryan were able to get it done quicker. So let me, I want to show you how you get to it. So if you go to the district tab on our website, we're having technical issues, which is why I'm doing this so remedially. So, but if you go down to navigating the future, you'll see it right there. But if you go to the actual page, it might not appear because web issues. So, but everybody will have full access to the complete report. When I click on it, it automatically downloads. So I don't know if it will do the same for you or if it'll just pop up in a browser where you can see it. You'll also be able to see on that same page a spot where you can enter your questions, and Sharon came around with the little cards, the QR codes, if you just have your phone with you. So you can scan that code or go to this link and it will drop it. You can drop in all of your questions that you have either tonight or that you might have between now and our community forum. What else am I supposed to remember to say? I just want to remind everybody that this is a chance for us to hear the presentation from NESDEC, that we're going to then follow that up with the Building Needs Task Force and with the school committee following their own path for discussion. There's not going to be discussion tonight. That will wait until we've all had a chance to take in the report, digest all the information in it. It's quite long, as you just saw how long it took to download, and we're not in any rush for any of this. So, because nothing's happening for some time, we have plenty of time to be thoughtful and thorough as we read the data that's in it, and then bring our questions either through that feedback form or through the school committee meetings, the building needs, and then the community forum on April 3rd. I think that was all I was supposed to say. I'm going to stop share. And I just wanted, if you don't know about NESDEC already, it's the New England School Development Council. That was the group that was identified for this study. It's an organization that offers services related to strategic planning, special education audits, dropout prevention, collaboration and shared services, short and long range planning that includes enrollment forecasting, capacity, and even more. And their senior staff associate, Karen Leduc, is with us tonight to share the report. Thank you, Karen, for being here. She's an educator who's worked in primary and secondary ed, higher ed. She's been an assistant superintendent for teaching and learning and an assistant superintendent, so she knows exactly where we're coming from in all of our questions. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Karen, and hopefully you'll be able to share your screen and get us started.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Karen.
So as hopefully everybody can see, NESDEC has been around for over 75 years, and thank you, Chair Welch, for that wonderful introduction. NESDEC is pleased to have worked with the Falmouth Public Schools on this report, a welcoming, engaging learning environment where we were well accepted by the leadership team, by the staff at each school, and even the students as they interacted with us when we viewed the school buildings. So I'll go over the whole report in just a minute, but I wanted to acknowledge my colleagues, Judy Paolucci, who was one of the consultants who came to do some of the facilities reviews, and Dave DeRusi is our executive director. So that you'll see the table of contents. I'm actually showing the actual report and we'll work from this today. So the first part, we'll talk about the scope of the report. So the scope of a best educational use of facilities is two-pronged. We look first at a demographic study, and then we look at that demographic study is information pertaining to state and local population trends. And that's important because those population trends influence school enrollments. So we look at birth rates and the relationship to the kindergarten enrollment. We look at local real estate and housing trends. We update a 10-year enrollment projection report, and the district asked us to do an updated 10-year elementary school enrollment projection report, which I will share for you. We'll also do an enrollment forecast, which is any expected student yield from any new residential construction that's currently under construction. And I'll talk a little bit about that. So we looked through the US Census, we looked at the Falmouth town data, we looked at housing and urban development, we contacted the Falmouth town planner and local realtors. We also did a facilities review of East Falmouth, Mullen Hall, North Falmouth, and T-Ticket elementary schools to plan for facilities that are the right size for their intended enrollments and to develop some options for consideration of next steps. And those options for consideration are just the starting point, and we'll go over those in just a minute. So it's a specific approach. So we look for why are we doing this to provide a better understanding of the long-term future of each building and options for consideration, maybe to inform some budget planning. It's a three-pronged approach. Again, the district enrollment projections and community demographics, the facility utilization study, and options for consideration. So let's delve into the demographic information. So we look at population trends for Falmouth in particular, and you can see from 1990 to 2000, the population increased 16.8% in that time frame. And you can see it's been in the 32,000 time frame from 2000 to 2022. So it's stabilized over the past 20 years. So then we need to look at the median age of the population. So here's a chart that looks at United States, Massachusetts, Barnstable County, and Falmouth. And the way to read this chart is to look, 2022, excuse me, is here just for reference. 2020, when you look at that, over the United States, the estimate of the median age of the population is 38 and 2 months. Look at Falmouth, it's 55 and 7 months. Barnstable County, a little bit lower, 53.7. The thing to look at here is also over time. Over the past 20 years, the median age has increased by 10.7 years. And so we can see that the median age and the population in Falmouth overall is aging. We look also at the New England's pre-K-12 enrollment trends, and it's important to look at it in the context of the United States to the New England states. And so when we look at Massachusetts, it's at minus the percent of change over the next 6 years would be 7.2%, similar to New Hampshire and similar to Vermont. So if we look at the population trends by age span, what we're doing here is we're looking at the school age population and then all of the ages of population. And you can see the school age population, ages 5 to 9 are usually those students who are in kindergarten to grade 4. And you can see that that has declined by 1.2% over the past 10 years. Ages 10 to 12, which is the middle school ages, have declined by 1%, and the high school ages have declined by, by 1%. And the high school ages have declined by just a fraction, which indicates stability at that age like breakout. But you can see that because these numbers are diminishing in the future, the high school numbers will start to decline. And that plays out in the historical enrollments and the projected enrollments. Curiously, we look at the other age breakouts. We look at under 5 because these are the kindergartners that are coming up. So these are students who have not entered your schools, but are those potential Falmouth students. And you can see it's been relatively stable. So we think in the future that the kindergarten will remain relatively stable. Interesting, the under 18, which is the typical school age population in this 10-year time frame, has declined by 2.8%, while the 18 to 64 has declined by 5.5%. And again, over 65 has increased by 5.2%. So what we're noticing in both the overall population and these population age trends is the Falmouth population is aging. From there, the number of K-12 students per housing unit is another interesting data point to look at. What is the percentage of homes in Falmouth that house students that are in K-12? No, not all these students could necessarily go to Falmouth. They could be in private enrollments, but this is a public enrollment, and then the K-12 students per household. We know that in the state of Massachusetts, even though the population has increased by 9% here, the K-12 students per household has decreased by 3%. But if we look at Falmouth, overall, the population of the public K-12 enrollment has decreased by 32.9%, and the K-12 students per household has decreased by 18%. So there are fewer school-aged children currently living in Falmouth. In order to determine who your projected students are, we look at the births. And these are provided by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And you can see here in this line graph, the blue is Falmouth, the green is the state of Massachusetts. You can see the births are declining. And when births decline, so does the population in kindergarten, which leads to a decreasing population for future K-12 enrollments. So the birth to kindergarten relationship, one factor that is extremely important to look at is, of all those births, those students then enroll in Falmouth Public Schools, and you can see, typically it's true. Sometimes there are more students who enroll than there were births, indicating that there are people who have moved in, but it's relatively stable, which is an important part of assuring a robust kindergarten. From here, we'll look at real estate trends. NESDEC has found over the years that there are a lot of people who are downsizing, and realtors that we interviewed in Falmouth also supported this. But what's important is, if there is a 3 or 4 bedroom home that's vacated by somebody who has moved on, or is most likely to be purchased by families with children. And so the school enrollments are greatly influenced by the number of real estate sales. And we can't quantify who's going to move into those homes when they go on the market, but we do recognize that it's an important trend to consider. So we looked at the Warren Group, and I'm going to focus from 2014 to 2024. The median sales price in 2014 was $375,000 for a single family. In 2024, the median sale price was $735,000. That's quite an increase. But the number of single-family homes that have been sold and condos that have been sold, except for 1-year anomaly here, have been relatively stable. So we're looking forward to the single-family homes in Falmouth increased to an average of 489 over these years, but an average median sale price of a little north of $500,000. So the realtors that we interviewed supported those findings from the Warren Group. The demand for real estate in Falmouth exceeds the number of listings, even though the number of days on market have increased between 3 and 5 weeks. Homes that cost between $500,000 and $700,000 sell most quickly, although some may need renovation. First-time home buyers are being pushed out of the market due to rising prices, and realtors are seeing more second-time buyers, dominated by retirees and some families. The realtors noted that compensation for employment in the general vicinity does not support the purchase of homes in Falmouth, which average above $800,000. It's just difficult to do the financing for something like that. Residents over age 65 are downsizing and selling their 3 and 4 bedroom homes and purchasing those condos. And due to its seaside location, the town of Falmouth has experienced some challenges. And the town supports a number of committees, including the short-term rental working group and the housing development working group, also supported by my conversations with the town planner, Mr. Cornick. So the real estate market remains strong despite the rising interest rates. And Falmouth is a great place to be geographically, has the longest coastline in the state. There's a lot of land development with high value, high demand, and choice views that create real property wealth. There's woodland, backland, natural habitat, so it's a wonderful place to be. Housing detail, it's important we look at the stability of the housing detail in Falmouth, and this chart talks specifically about what we look at specifically here is the owner occupied. It's important that the larger percentage of the housing is owner occupied. So when we look at the total housing units and the percent of owner occupied, it's increased from 2077.6% to in 2020, 79.2%, and even further, 84% in 2022. And the average household size of the owner occupied is between 2.3 to 2.34. So it's usually families with children. The renter occupied, the number of, these are year-round rentals, has decreased from 22.4% to 20.8% in 2020, down to 16%. These are the seasonal use vacancy rates. The rental vacancy rates are minimal. So the bedrooms per house is also something that we look at. Out of your housing stock, when you look at this pie chart, the number of 3, 4, and 5 bedroom homes that could house children, families with children, is 73.4% of the housing stock. And this is just a summary of all that I just mentioned. The next aspect is looking at residential construction projects. So we reviewed the information submitted by the town planner, and we look at 3 different categories: approved projects currently under construction, approved projects not currently under construction, and project in the approval pipeline. It's important to communities to know that this construction project is currently under construction, and how many children might be enrolled in the Falmouth Public Schools due to that. So we'll note a projected student yield only for those projects that are currently under construction. We will provide a potential student yield for the approved projects not currently under construction and the projects in the approval pipeline, only because sometimes our experience has shown that they're not built or they're delayed. So we can't determine, we don't want to impact the school enrollments by saying this is what's going to happen, but we can say if there's a potential. How do we calculate that student yield? We think about what are the potential number of school-aged children who might occupy that new housing. It's distributed over a 3 to 5 base period based on the anticipated occupancy, and we assign the student yield to grade levels without knowing the actual age of the potential students. And the smaller the number of student yield, the more difficult it is to forecast the enrollments. So what do? So we look at the number of bedrooms per unit. And just as a rule of understanding, 1-bedroom units do not have an impact on student enrollment. 2-bedroom units have a minimal impact on student enrollment, and 3-bedroom units will have an impact on student enrollment, as these are typically purchased by families with children. We look at the density of the area, we look at the housing cost, and then we take what we determine is that projected or potential student yield, and we know that most people move when their children are at the elementary age. So we assign the bulk of that potential or projected student yield to the elementary age students, 60 to 70%. 20 to 30% would be middle-aged students, and 10% high school age students, depending on your configurations. So Mr. Jed Cornick was extremely helpful with giving us some great information about the projects that are currently in Falmouth. But he also shared the mixed residential and commercial overlay districts that creates flexibility for the development community and residential development of 20 units per 40,000 square feet. that the town approved the senior care retirement district, which added workforce housing as an allowed use. That was an amendment. And lastly, as the town and the Cape Cod are currently dealing with significant housing crisis, the select board has made housing a top priority in the next 5-year strategic plan. So I'm going to go over the approved projects currently under construction. So you can see them listed here. Some are 48 one-bedrooms, 16 3-bedrooms, Liberty Green, 51 bedrooms, reminding you that the 51 bedrooms will not have an impact on student enrollments, and the 43 2-bedroom units will have minimal impact on student enrollments, but the 11 3-bedrooms will. The Village at Brick Hill, and you'll see the others. So we calculated it based on we did the projected student yield for those projects under construction. We did the impact to enrollment over the next 2 to 3 years because all of these projects will be completed this year. So depending on the timeline and the way people will move in, grades K to 4, you would see an impact of 19 to 24 students, grades 5 to 8, 10 to 12 students, and grades 9 to 12, 3 to 4 students. Remembering, we assign student yield to grade the spans without certainty of the actual age. So here are the approved projects not currently under construction. And you can see them all listed here. Some are 1-bedroom, single-room units, 3-bedroom units, and there's the potential student yield of all of those units. K to 4, 27 to 33 students, grades 5 to 8, 13 to 16 students, and grades 9 through 12, 5 to 6 students. And then these are the projects in the approval pipeline. Some 1, 2, and 3-bedroom units listed. And there's the potential yield. And it's noted as potential as our experience has shown that these projects are sometimes not approved. And then we look at the housing and urban development. This list does not necessarily match what we know about what's happening in Falmouth, but this is what was reported to the housing and urban development by the town of Falmouth. And it shows that the single family unit building permits here, 24, there were 57, 2023, 94, 148. You can see the difference as the years have passed, leaner years here, and the same for multi-units. It's just another piece of information to support the construction projects. So now we'll move on to the enrollment projections. Now that we've looked at the demographic lens of Falmouth, we've looked at the construction that's happening in Falmouth. So let's look at the enrollment projections and just a little tutorial on how we do our enrollment projections. We take a modified cohort component survival technique to prepare them. So we look at the births as they relate to kindergarten enrollments, and I've showed you that. We look at student migration in and out of schools, and we review the stability of grades 1 through 8 in and out migration of students. We take all of the historical data, 10 years of historical data from Falmouth, and we look at the percentage that's calculated. So from kindergarten, if you had 100 kindergartners and they transitioned to 104 first graders, that's a ratio of 1.04. So it's a 4% increase for that 1 year. We look over 10 years. So I'll spend time looking at the 1-year ratio, take an average of the two years together, 3 years together, 4 years together, and so on. So we take those ratios and we apply them to think about what's most indicative of the future growth pattern for each pair of grades. Each pair of grades has a different ratio that's chosen based on our most reasonable set of assumptions regarding the births, the migration rates, the retention rates. So we apply them to the projections going forward, and I'll show you that in just a minute. And then to know that enrollment projections are more reliable in the first 3 years and less reliable in the out years. We give a 10-year enrollment projection for planning, but the first 3 years we know because those are students who are currently enrolled. The kindergarten and the first graders and the second graders not. So let me explain our enrollment. I'll make this a little bigger. So if you look here, here's the birth year for the historical enrollment. So in 2009, there were 257 births, skipped to kindergarten, you enrolled 289 kindergartners. So there's a different ratio here, a different ratio here. And then from kindergarten to first grade, there were 289 kindergartners, you transitioned 287 first graders, and so on. We look at the bottom here for the grade spans. Pre-K to 4, K to 4, and this is district-wide, 5 to 6, 7 to 8, 9, 12, and then overall a 10-year enrollment projection. And when I just said that we look at 3 years out, over the past 10 years, grades K to 12 enrollment declined by 20.1%. So let's look at the projected enrollment for the next 10 years. Again, you can see in 2019, there were 180 births, which transitioned to, for this school year, 5 years later, 202 kindergartners, a bigger ratio of births to kindergarten and so on. And as we look here, here's pre-K to 4, 5 to 6, 7 to 8, 9 to 12. It's balanced here across in the 200s with a smaller class at the 12th grade level. Here's the 3-year mark, where I said, these are the most reliable and these are for planning. When you look at the births, these children have yet to be born. So here's the 174 as a provisional number because all of the recorded births from 2023 have not been published from the state of Massachusetts. So we take a rolling 5-year average to predict here. So these numbers could and can change. So right now they're stable. We're showing that stable because we took the 5 years. So over the next 3 years, K to 4 enrollments are projected to decrease by 92 students or 8.4%. Grades 5 to 6 enrollments here are projected to decrease by 13 students or 2.75%. Grades 7 to 8 are projected to decrease by 39 students, which is 8.2%. And 9 through 12 is projected to decrease by 46 students, which is 6.5%, as the students move through the grades. So you can see the decline in the aging of the population, the declining of the school age population is having an effect here. This chart shows in a line graph the historical and projected enrollments over time. You can see you're up at 3,500 now between the 2337, and you can see the corresponding data at the bottom. We were also asked to do elementary school by school enrollment projections, and we did that. We'll start with East Falmouth. And you can see here over the next 3 years, the PK to 12 enrollment. So it starts here, 24-25 to 293 is set to decrease by 3.3%. Mullen Hall, here's 24-25. Let me scroll up a little bit. Is from 364 to 335 is the 3 years out, and that's projected to decline by 7.96% or 29 students. And at North Falmouth, from 303 students to 254, declining by 49 students or 16.17%. And then T-Ticket decreased by 1.69% or 3 students over the next 3 years. So the stability of grades 1 through 8 is important to consider because that tells us of the stability of the core group of grades in schools. We do grades 1 through 8 because kids do choose different high school options. So if Falmouth had 1,600 grades 1 through 7 students, you would expect to get 1,600 grades 1 through 8 students. What we noticed in school years 2017 to 2022, there was an out-migration of students in this grade spans of an averaging 30 students. Curiously, what we noticed for school year 23-24 and 24-25, the district has seen an in-migration of students averaging 14. And let's hope that continues. That means you've kept the 1,600 grades 1 through 7 to 2 through 8, but you've added an average of 14 students over those 2 years. So here's the enrollment forecast. We looked at all of that. We talked about the student yield. We're just going to include the projects currently under construction. So when you look at the projections above, K-4 holistically as a district include 19 to 24 students over the next 2 to 3 years, 10 to 12 grades, grades 5 to 8, and then 3 to 4 grades 9 through 12. And this is just a summary of all that I have said that you can review. So then we look at the school facility review. As I said before, we reviewed the 4 elementary school. The key facility information was reviewed with the administrators at each of schools and the district leadership team. And although we didn't do a capital asset assessment, we reviewed the pertinent facility maintenance and capital improvements needed information provided by the district. We looked at 3 aspects of each school: physical, programmatic, and operational variables. The physical, and you'll see, are instructional spaces, core facilities, major systems and maintenance, site information, and handicapped access. Programmatic is the educational program and offerings, the schedules, the teams, and class sizes. And then the operational, utilization and efficiency of spaces for staff and specialized programs, including the administrative, the support staff, and instructional administrative technology. As each of those areas supports student learning, and it supports the educators and leaders in order to be able to provide that student learning environment. So how do we calculate facility space utilization? We count the classrooms, and using the perspective of the school principal who's scheduling the building, and we calculate a potential current facility utilization by multiplying the district's maximum class size number by the number of classrooms. So the maximum class size is determined by the district. Pre-K is 15, K is 18 students, grade 1 is 20, grades 2 to 3 are 22 students, and grade 4 is 24 students, and it's multiplied by the number of classrooms using the current grade configuration. So the facility space utilization considers a review of the classroom spaces, the core and specialized facilities, and other areas. So we did a review of the district schools, and I'm going to begin with East Falmouth Elementary School. I'm going to go through East Falmouth Elementary School, highlighting certain areas, and then we'll go quickly through the others, just identifying key ideas. So in East Falmouth, it's grades pre-K to 4. The site acreage is 18.38 acres. It was built in 1958 with an addition renovation in 2002. 53,500 square feet. There are 21 interchangeable classrooms, and the October 1st, 2024 enrollment was 303 students. So here are the instructional spaces that you'll see. 21 PK to 4 classrooms, 1 special ed support services classroom, 1 art room, 1 music room, 1 OT/PT classroom. Noting here that it's a portable classroom that was added 23 years ago. And NESDEC notes that portable classrooms are usually temporary structures and are typically replaced after 20 to 25 years. But we also know Falmouth has continuously maintained these structures. And then there's 1 reading classroom, which is also a portable classroom. The core facilities, the cafeteria is a full kitchen, has handicapped access. The gymnasium has 1 teaching station for a full-time physical education health educator. And the library media center has a maker space and a full-time librarian. The administrative offices are a principal's office, assistant principal, special ed building administrator office, 1 main office with 2 administrative assistants, a conference room, a nurse's office, and a teacher lunchroom workspace. And then the spaces for support staff that support the learning of the students. The adjustment counselors, psychologist, English language development educator, BCBA, speech and language, special educators, teaching assistants, and the safety monitor. It's instructive administrative technology is 1-to-1 for grades K to 4. Educators have laptops. The classrooms have interactive projection devices. The Wi-Fi access is reliable, and special ed plans, health records, grading, and attendance are computerized. Handicapped access is prominent with levered door handles and closed fist bars. The restrooms are available. The route of travel does require stairs, and a chairlift is available. And in the site information, parking and event parking is noted as needs improvement. There's a plan to add parking spots, field and play space, and area for pickup and drop off. Storage is adequate. And major systems, again, did not include a capital assessment, but we did review the pertinent major systems, and plumbing is noted as needs improvement. The original plumbing prone to pinhole leaks with repairs done in sections as those leaks develop. And the flooring is reported as needs improvement, but replacement in the south wing scheduled for the summer of 2025. Roof, HVAC, electrical system, windows, doors, and walls are all noted as satisfactory. So here's East Falmouth. This is the current facility space utilization, reminding you that we take the number of preschool classrooms, 9, times the district class size number of 15 is 135, 2 kindergartens, 3 grade 1s, 5 grades 2 and 3, 2 grades 4, for a maximum capacity of 389 students, knowing that the enrollment was 303 students, so there is excess capacity. I want to note this footer. Maximum capacity is subject to change, increasing or decreasing if the grade configuration changes. So for example, if next year you need more grade 3s, that you would, more grade 1s and less grade 2s, this would decrease by 2. So you could see that the number would change, but this is based on the current configuration. Mullen Hall, here's the facility profile. Built in 1931 with an addition renovation in 2003, 22 interchangeable classrooms with 364 students. Here are the instructional spaces. There's the 20 interchangeable, 1 Cape Cod Coalition, and 1 self-contained special education classroom, which adds up to the 22. Art, music, digital literacy and computer science, the reading classroom, and others. Configuration for the cafeteria, gymnasium, and library. There are the administrative spaces, the support staff, instructional administrative technology, ADA handicapped access, site information and storage, and the major systems and maintenance. So if we look at the current facility space utilization based on this current configuration, the maximum capacity is 452 students with an October 1 enrollment of 364 students. So there is excess capacity at Mullen Hall. Then we'll look at North Falmouth. Grades K to 4, built in 1963, addition renovation in 1988. 19 interchangeable classrooms. The October 1st, 2024 enrollment was 303 students. You can see the 18 interchangeable classroom, 1 self-contained special ed, art, music, classrooms shared by educators, OTPT, cafeteria, gymnasium, library. There are the administrative spaces similar to the other schools, the support staff, instructional administrative technology, ADA handicapped access, the site information, storage, and the major systems and maintenance. The roof is reported as needing improvement and will be replaced in the summer of 2024. Plumbing HVAC is reported as needing improvement, but things are fixed as noted. So here's the current facility space utilization. So 4 kindergartners, so a maximum capacity of 388 students, October 1, 2024 enrollment, 303 students. Here we talk about some facility space considerations, dedicated classroom space for the reading teacher, English language development, and special educators. And then T-ticket. A K to 4 school built in 1967, addition renovation 2003, current enrollment 236 students as of October 1st, and the number of interchangeable classrooms 17. So here are the 14 interchangeable classrooms, K to 4, 3 self-contained special ed classrooms, 3 full-time educators, the special education support services classroom, art, music, OTPT, and others. And there is also portable classrooms here for the music room and the reading classroom. And again, Falmouth has continually maintained these structures, but NESDEC they're usually temporary structures that are typically replaced. Core facilities, the administrative spaces, the support staff, instructional administrative technology, ADA handicap access, site information, storage, and major systems. The plumbing and HV is reported as satisfactory, although pinhole leaks caused by sediment buildup sometimes occur and are repaired. So here's the current facility space utilization. Under the current configuration, the maximum capacity is 324 students, and the current enrollment as of October 1st, 2024 is 236 students. Facility space utilization, dedicated space for speech and language services, and dedicated conference room space. So this is the summary of what we noticed. The physical spaces, including the classrooms, the cafeteria, the media, are designed for student learning. The district has continued to maintain the buildings with the planned renovations and the scheduled maintenance. Again, the portable classrooms are usually temporary structures and replaced, but Falmouth, I want to reiterate again, has continuously maintained these structures. The programming variables are adequate and include specialized programming for students with special needs, maker spaces, and small group spaces for instruction. The operational variables of spaces for staff and specialized programs are adequate in most schools. As noted in the facilities review, some schools could benefit from additional conference space and dedicated space for support staff. NESDEC analysis notes that there is excess capacity at each of the elementary schools, which could accommodate additional students or programming. Additionally, it is important to note that this analysis is based on each individual school's current use of existing space. Additional capacity may be realized if the district prioritized full-size classroom space for grade level classroom and provides smaller space for support services. So we've looked at the demographics, we looked at the facilities, and we've come up with a set of options for consideration. We use all of that information, and it's presented as a bullet outline description of each option, as well as the listing of advantages and challenges. These options are designed to serve as a catalyst for further analysis and discussion. This document should not be considered as an end product, but rather as the beginning point for future planning. Option implementation usually takes a minimum of 1 to 2 years. So let's look at the first option. Option 1. Consider transitioning one elementary school to preschool and move all current grades K to 4 students to the other 3 elementary schools. So the grade level alignment becomes preschool at one elementary school, grades kindergarten to 4 at the 3 remaining elementary buildings. So what are some advantages? Locating the preschool at one elementary school affords that continued collaboration and coordination with families and the potential expansion of that preschool enrollment and program. The district has noted that the current Falmouth ages 3 to 4 population supports the potential increase of preschool enrollments. Grades K to 4 at the 3 remaining elementary schools affords more consistent class sizes, scheduling which supports student interaction with grade level peers, shared resources amongst grade levels, and facilitates that collaboration, coordination, and communication amongst grade level educators. And there's a potential to increase support for special ed programming. What are some of the challenges? Consideration by constituents to determine the geographic location of the reconfigured preschool and grades K to 4 schools. Some families would need to switch elementary schools. There's some costs associated with moving staff and programs. To continue to address infrastructure system needs, you'd need to maybe restructure and expand some transportation routes, and there is a cost associated with that. And there could be some increased travel time for elementary students and parents, and the possibility of increased congestion at pickup and drop off. Option 2. Consider transitioning one elementary school to preschool kindergarten, distribute grades 1 through 4 students to the other 3 elementary schools. So that grade level alignment, pre-KK at 1 elementary school, grades 1 through 4 at the 3 remaining elementary schools. And similar to option 1, locating the preschool allows for potential expansion of the preschool enrollment at 1 building, but locating the preschool and the kindergarten at 1 elementary school affords the creation of an early childhood learning environment. The grades 1 to 4 configuration affords those more consistent class sizes, the interaction of students with grade level peers, shared resources, and the communication and collaboration around grade level educators. It eliminates the challenges. It eliminates the grades K to 4 neighborhood or community school, the consideration by constituents to determine the geographic location of the reconfigured grades, preschool, kindergarten, and 1 to 4 schools. It increases student transitions from 3 to 4. You need to continue to address the infrastructure and system needs. The transportation routes could have a cost and the increased travel time. And to consider transitioning 1 elementary school to preschool, distribute grades K to 5 over the remaining 3 elementary schools, move grade 5 to the 3 remaining elementary schools either at the same time or when the renovation to Lawrence Middle School is complete, and to close Morse Pond Middle School. So the grade level alignment is preschool at 1 of the current elementary buildings, grades kindergarten to 5 at the 3 remaining elementary buildings. Again, some of the same advantages, preschool expansion, K to 5, consistent class sizes, scheduling which supports the student interaction with grade level peers, shared resources, and the collaboration and communication among grade level educators. Some of the challenges, it brings another grade level into the elementary schools. You need to realign classrooms when moving grade 5 students into the 3 current elementary schools. There are costs and challenges associated with moving staff and programs, the transportation routes, and increased travel time. Consider transitioning 1 elementary school to preschool kindergarten, distribute grades 1 through 5 over the remaining 3 elementary schools, move grade 3 to the 3 remaining elementary schools either at the same time or when the renovation to Lawrence Middle School is complete. Close Morse Pond Middle School. And this is similar to the option 3, but we're putting preschool and kindergarten in 1 of the elementary buildings and then grades 1 through 5. Again, some of the same advantages here as the previous and similar challenges. Option 5, consider reconfiguring elementary schools to specific grade span schools, preschool, kindergarten to 1, grade 2 to 3, grade 4 to 5 across the 4 elementary school. Consider moving grade 5 to the elementary school, close Morse Pond Middle School, and move grade 6 to Lawrence Middle School. So you can see the grade level alignment. We're doing grade spans here. Locating at the preschool affords, at 1 school affords the expansion of that preschool enrollment. Grade span configuration, the K1, the grades 2, 3, the grades 4, 5, affords more consistent class sizes, scheduling which supports the student interaction with grade level peers and those shared resources. It promotes consistency and equity of opportunities and resources at each school for each grade span. The challenge is it eliminates grades K to 4 neighborhood schools. They have to determine by constituents the geographic location of those reconfigured schools, grade spans, and the others as similar from the options before. Option 6, when the renovation to Lawrence Middle School is complete, close Morse Pond Middle School, move grade 5 to the elementary schools, and reconfigure elementary schools to include grade 5. So the alignment here is grades preschool to 5 at 1 elementary schools and grades K to 5 at 3 elementary school. It decreases the transitions from 4 to 3. It brings another grade level into the elementary schools and realigning those classrooms when moving grade 5 students into 4 current elementary schools, continuing to address the infrastructure, the costs and challenges, transportation routes, all of the things that we've talked about before. Option 7, consider realignment of elementary school boundaries to more evenly distribute the number of elementary schools across the elementary schools. So it's the current configuration, grades preschool to 4 at one elementary and grades kindergarten to 4 at 3 elementary. Again, when we realign the school boundaries, we afford more consistent class sizes, which support student interaction with grade level peers, and the equity and opportunities and resources for students. Again, the challenge is consideration by constituent to determine those realigned school boundaries. Some families would need to switch elementary schools and the costs and address the infrastructure. Option A, consider the realignment of elementary school boundaries to more evenly distribute the number of elementary schools students across the elementary schools. The difference between 7 and 8 is we're going to suggest moving grade 5 to the elementary schools, either at the same time or when the renovation is to Lawrence Middle School is complete, and then close Morse Pond. So it's preschool to 5 at one elementary and grades kindergarten to 5 at 3 elementary schools. More consistent class sizes, realigning the grade 5 students into current elementary schools, the costs associated with that. So we thank the Falmouth Public Schools for partnering with NESDEC to commission this study. It's a thoughtful data-based approach. I want to reiterate the options are just those options for consideration for the Falmouth Public Schools. And as you look through them, that you can determine what is the best scenario for Falmouth next. So we thank you very much. I thank you for your time this evening, and it was a pleasure to have worked with the Falmouth Public Schools.
Am I on now? Yeah. Thank you, Karen. Oh, now she's gone. It's weird because I'm looking this way, but she's behind me. Thanks, Karen. We really appreciate you walking us through the report. It's a lot to take in. And maybe we'll have questions as follow-up if we have any pieces that we don't quite understand after we've had a chance to read it. So as I mentioned, the link on the QR code that Sharon passed out, the link on our website are open if you had questions already, that you already know you have a question, or if during the, going through the report, questions arise, feel free to drop those questions in there. And then the building needs will follow up with their discussion. School committee will have our discussions in our meetings, and then the public forum on April the 3rd at 6 p.m. Where is it? At the high school. Thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn? Thanks, Melissa. Second. We don't have everyone, but Mike is also not on. All in favor? Thanks. We're adjourned. Thank you, guys. Thanks so much for coming.